Hello again, my friends. Welcome once more to Leopard Street. Welcome back to the cellar. It's working again. Right. That aside, and there's a few other bits and pieces, but I'm not going to go into them today. What we're going to try and do today is a video with a little bit more focus, thanks to some of the feedback I've had. Hornby Railroad wagons. Let's look at upgrading some of them. Specifically, I'll just move on here because obviously I didn't have it ready in time. These ones. Now you may have seen these. I've got a rake of 9 of them. Previous video, I painted and weathered them. If I remember, I'll put a link somewhere near the top wherever it appears to the video for the painting. That's not what we're doing today. If you saw my last video, and if you didn't, how did you not see it? I mean, it's yeah, I can understand that. What I've done, first off, it's the first thing we're going to look at. I've taken that, my hand behind it, a bit easy to see, the big D coupler they come with, and I fitted a Kadee coupler. So we're going to have a look at that. We're going to look at how I did that. It's fairly straightforward to do. I'm not going to go massively into why I'm using Kadee couplers in this video. That's for another one. This is going to be how to upgrade the wagons. So there's 4 things I want to do. First one is paint them. Now I've already done that. Brilliant. True Blue Peter style. Here's one I did earlier. What we're going to do is we're going to increase the weight. I'm going to change the wheels. And we're going to fit the couplers. So, without further ado, let's get to the desk. This is Leopard Street. Okay, here we are at the desk. I brought 2 of the little beasties over. I've got a completely unmodified one here. And its wheels spin. It's not massively free rolling. I mean, it goes. They're all right. They're cheap. First thing I'm going to do is look at the weight. Bring in my scales. Now, yeah, about 30 grams. Ideally, that wants to be closer to 50. So the first thing I'm going to do is change the wheels because that will add a little bit of weight to it. Now, the wheels these come with are plastic on metal axles, which is pretty good. But we can do better. So I'm going to take these out. These have actually been slightly weathered as well already. So yeah, anyway, never mind. The white dot on the bottom, incidentally, is because I've had trouble with this particular wagon derailing. So I'm going to put some new wheels in. I've got these. Yeah, these are from AliExpress, so they're fairly cheap ones, but they work. If I can get into it, I've fitted some of these on some Dapol wagons that I had a few problems with, and they work nicely. So these are metal wheels on metal axles. They've got the insulating bushes. Technically, they need painting, but there we go. Now, I haven't adjusted the back-to-backs on these yet, but they're pretty good. So I'm just going to put these in, and I can do that later. Let's make sure that is actually in the axle. Bearing. That one in there. And these are much, much more free-rolling. Now, that may in part be due to me getting paint in the things, but that rolls a lot better now. But it is slightly heavier. So, let's have a little look. Very slightly. So, yeah, it's made a few grams difference. I want to get that up to 50. Now, my weapon of choice for this is 2p coins. So, let's see how many of these we need to put on to get it nearly 50. That'll do. 3 of them. It's a little bit over, but that'll do. So, that tells me I want 3 coins into each of these. So to do that, what I need to do is take the body off. These cheaper Hornby ones, the bodies are just clipped on. At the ends here, there's lighting, you can see that. 4 little clips. So what I tend to do is just press it a little bit and pull up. Releases one end. Press. Up we come, and off comes the base. And it's that simple. There They're different colours. Wasn't expecting that. Guess it's whatever Hornby mould them in. And inside, we've got a metal weight. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue a couple of coins on here. Now you've got to be careful because you've got to keep where the bodywork is going to go clear. And you also need to work out roughly where the coins need to go on here. So it's about there, and it's actually glued. I mean, one of them's glued onto the metal, one of them's glued slightly onto the sides of the wagon. No, fair enough. So I'm going to put some super glue on, and we'll hope this will work. Yeah, let's put some of that on here, like so. The super glue on there. First coin on. That's that one. I mean, it was a few years ago now. Put some glue on this side. I'm also going to put some glue on these edges for this one. I went into a bank. Went into, I think it was HSBC in Meadowhall. And I confused the hell out of the poor people there by making a withdrawal that consisted entirely of coins. It's not stuck on properly yet either, but we'll see. Yeah, entirely of coins. And all I wanted was 1p and 2p coins. And I came away with a big bag of them. And it worked quite nicely. And I think, well, what on earth do you want them for? I mean, it's not purely this. It is largely this. It's not purely this. But I use them for wargaming figures as well. Now I'm going to see if that sticks. That may stick, it may not. However, I'm going to do this other one at the same time. And what I'm going to do with this one is a different glue, because I'm going to see which of the glues works best. Clean the coins a bit better. So this one is going to get Bostik, which I've used before for doing this sort of thing with. So again, I'm just going to check they do fit on. Bostik takes a bit longer to dry, but is more of a blobby glue, if that makes sense. So it should stick on nicely. I'm just going to give that coin a little bit of a wipe and stick it there. And same with this one, a little bit of a wipe and there. That is sticking, but that's going to need more. Don't want it threading too much. Yeah. Again, because the weight is just a little bit inside the area of the coach. So it's recessing down slightly into it. Now, there's loads of different ways you can weight these things. Previously I've used lead fishing weights. You can get lead shot. There's various products. I think liquid lead, I think it's referred to as. It's not a liquid. It behaves like a liquid, but it isn't. What it is very fine lead shot. And if you drop that on the carpet, good luck. So yeah, right. That's those weighted. This one here it has stuck. That's good. So I'm going to put that one over to dry because Bostik takes a little bit of time. So this is now dried. So in theory, I can put the bodywork back on. Before I do that, I'm going to look at the next upgrade, which is the wheel sets. Now, for that, I'm actually going to get another wagon. Reason being, I want to make sure this glue has a proper chance to dry. So I'm going to get another one. As I say, I've got 9 of the things, and I'm going to be doing most of them. I can't do this to all of them. I haven't got enough wheels. I've got enough wheels to do 6, I think it is. So I'll do the wheels on this one again quickly. Well, I won't. There's another way of doing this. Let's get that off. Yeah, see, this one's had a honking great lump of hot glue used to stick its weight on. Is that going to come off? It's going to make adding more weight to it a bit awkward if it doesn't. Have to see if that's going to lift off. It should do. That's the advantage of hot glue. It sort of sticks, but it it can be removed. Anyway, right, wheels off. Because the next bit to look at is the couplings. Now, let's get these wheels out. See them? There you go. Wheels are in the way, basically why these need to be removed. So I want to give this thing Kadee couplings. So what I need is my box of Kadee couplings, which are here. Now, and again, these are actually Chinese clones, again, of Kadees, but there we go. There we have one. Now I'm going to need two, because obviously I need to do both ends. Open a bag. Yeah, the little bag these things come in. So 8119 HO metal couplers, part 12 pieces. So that can come into here. If I can get them to come out of the bag. Oh, come out of the bag. Please come out of the bag. Be nice. Anyway, there's two of them. I'll deal with the rest later. Now, these wagons don't have NEM pockets on them. They do have pockets, but it's not NEM pockets. So these need to be removed. And they've got clips. And the clips, my other pair of tweezers, the clips are a little bit of a pain to get off. They're not too bad, but they are a little bit of a pain, because you've got to get under that side and lever it up a bit. Now, in theory, there we go, that's that one. In theory, the method I'm using here should work on any Hornby wagon that's got this style of coupling. So what you've got is this little box, and I'm going to have to remove that. See, I'll just take this other one off. There we go, it's a clip. Comes off. Coupling comes out, and don't need those anymore, so put those over to one side. Got to remove these. Before I remove them, we'll look at what I need to do. So I've got to get over to my 3D printer. I've got these, which I can just peel off here. Hopefully they'll come off nicely, and they do. Printed yesterday. This is still a little bit experimental. The file for this will end up on my Thingiverse page. But what I've done, break one of these off. I'm going to need two of them, so I'll break two of them off. This is a little NEM pocket. Yeah. They need cleaning up. They're not ready to use immediately. Basically, the hole needs blatting out. But that is designed to sit. A bit awkward to see because it's in black. It's designed to sit there, but it's designed to sit flush with the wagon base. It's got a bit that protrudes out the front, which is designed to fit flush against the buffer beam. That holds the NEM pocket at the right height. So in order to do that, the first thing I've got to do is remove this. And for this, a sharp knife is a good bet to start with, followed by a pair of cutters. I use the sharp knife first because that typically will tell the plastic. It's sort of like it programs it a little bit as to where I would like it to break. So again, I'm going to do this side here. It's just scoring that right into the end. That is a sharp blade as well. You do need a sharp blade for this. So that can then get. Yes, anyway, that's just pinged off into the distance. That's one of them out. I'm now going to do the other end. So might as well do both ends at once. So why am I bothering with all this? Well, I mean, these wagons, they run. I've had them run. I've had some issues with them. Specifically, they do run, but they like to derail. Now, part of that is the fact they're not very heavy, but a big part of it is the couplings. So if I hold these, in fact, if I bring a bit of white paper in here, might make seeing this a little bit easier. So these things, I mean, you've all seen tension lock couplings. They sort of lock together like that, and they are locked. Under tension, I mean, they are pretty strong. And under compression, the curved beam hits each other. Away you go, no problems. My track isn't very good, so instead of it being like that, I frequently have this sort of movement. And occasionally I've got differences in height as they go over joins. And I've found what happens is, sometimes, not often, sometimes, one will ride up on top of the other. And when it does, it lifts the wagon behind's wheels off. And then it goes around a corner and one wagon goes sideways, it derails, and then the whole thing comes off next time it hits a set of points. Not ideal, to say the least. But, yeah, so, yeah. Kadees don't really have that problem. Or at least I've not found them to have that problem. I'm going to keep that bit to the side. Get in here with it. So I'm changing the couplings. I fitted some Oxford rail wagons with these, and when I first got some Kadees, get onto the end of that, squeeze it on this side. What I had. I've gone all the way through. Apparently not. And those Kadees on the Oxford rail wagons have been no trouble at all. I have not had a single coupling related derailment on those wagons, which I'm quite impressed with. Right, what I now need to do is cut all this off. So I'm going to shave this a little bit. And again, sharp knife. Sharp knife away from fingers, away from paws. If you're not confident using a knife, yeah. I mean, yeah, you could file this, you could use this. So I'm keeping my fingers back here, so if the blade does slip, it doesn't go near me, it'll hit something else first. So take some of that off. Yeah, if you're not confident with a knife, you can do this with clippers, you can do it with a file, you could do this with a rotary tool. I'm not using a rotary tool because the one I've got vibrates like crazy and doesn't cut very accurately as a result. So that's smooth. What I'm now going to do is take a file to that. And this is flush, which is what I want. So I'm going to take a file. I'm just going to run it over this, because this area needs to be flat. Yeah, there's a little bit of a ridge there. There's the whole camera wobbling because my arms are on the thing. Right. If I lift up, maybe it won't wobble quite so much. Right, that's smooth. I've got to clean this out, but that is going to sit on there like that in the center at that set distance. So if I clean this out, basically there's a hole through the middle, and because of the nature of 3D printers, it's a bit clogged. If you have a resin printer, you can get much better quality prints. There are companies that supply these things. You can buy these ready-made for different sorts of wagons, different sorts of couplings. I thought for these ones it looked so simple I was going to have a go at making some, so I did. And it is literally, I mean, the piece, I'll show you the 3D model. The piece of this is essentially a box, a cuboid structure, with another one pushed through the middle of it to make a hole that matches the NEM pocket dimensions, which I found on the Double O Gauge Society website. They've got a nice little graphic that shows all the dimensions. And you end up with that, and then this bit fits in, or it should fit in. I'll just do a little bit of a test, see if it goes in. Yeah, that'll go in. That's that one. If you can see the hole through there. Don't know, probably not. But that's that. So I'm going to do 2 of these. It's not a massive job to convert them to this. And these couplings, they do have a number of advantages. I've got them, I say, partly for the reliability issue. And also, I want to be able to do delayed uncoupling, which is sort of Kadee's party trick, so to speak. if you've seen the videos I did on the remote uncoupling things, they need these Kadee couplings. So all my freight stock is getting this. As eventually will all of the passenger stock. I've got to work out how to do this to bogies. So I'm going to do that at some point. Right, that's that one as well. So these can go on. I've just got to clip this side down. So again, I'll come in here with the kniff and remove what's on here. Just nice and steady. Now, as I said, there's no real. I mean, you could quite happily, if you decide, I like tension lock couplings, I'm going to stick with them. Yeah, just do that. There's no harm in them. They work. It comes down to how you want to uncouple things. Kadee conversion does get a little bit more interesting with locomotives because a lot of them don't have the space for this sort of thing. I'm just going to chip some more of this off. So yeah, that can be slightly more of a challenge. The locomotive I'm going to be using for these is a Bachmann K3, a K3 class mogul, and it has got an M pocket on the back of it. So life gets very, very simple because I just use that. But again, file that. This does serve another purpose. It roughs the plastic up a bit, which helps the glue stick. So we'll do that there, do that there. I've also got to file the backs of these. It's 3D printed plastic. Sometimes it's not completely flat. Whereas for this, it has to be to get the glue to work. If you've got little ridges at the sides, you end up with those little ridges at the sides are the only bits where the glue will stick. So that's those done. What I'm now going to do, like I say, is I'm going to stick these on. They're going to go on. They're going to be centered, square, and super glue. So we shall do that. A little bit of a super glue. I've seen some people suggest using araldite when sticking to this sort of plastic. I'm using super glue for now. If I end up with a problem, I'll go back to araldite and I'll try that. So this needs to come on. It's got to be centered and it's got to be square. So that's very nearly centered, not quite. Let's move it slightly. And again, as I've said, this little ridge goes right up to the edge of the buffer beam, and that sets the distance backwards correctly. Did that for these exact ones. It's the coupler pocket doesn't want to be flush on here. It has to come down a little bit. So I made a little plate. It's angled slightly at the front, so it works. It covers over this hole, which also helps. And it holds the coupler height the right distance, so it's the correct height overall. Let's do the other end. Glue. It does ooze out the sides slightly, but I'm not actually that bothered by that. So that one then can go on there. And again, it's got to be centered. There is a little bit of leeway you can put on it, but ideally you want it in the center. If it's not, the couplers might not line up properly, and if they don't line up properly, they'll engage, but you might have some reliability issues. And since the whole part of this is to avoid reliability problems, there we go. And that's a Hornby wagon with the uncouplers. So what I now need to do is try and get this massive glue that's on here off, if I can. A bit shattered. This is so I can put the coins on. Again, just to add the weight. The way things are at the moment, I can't necessarily do that. There we go, that's coming off. And if I can get enough of that off, I can get a couple of 2p coins on here. Well, a triplet of 2p coins. I'll be happy. So I'm going to take a little bit more of that. So I'm just going to carry on with this. Cut this out. There we go. It's that side. Bit this side here. And incidentally, if this means the weight comes off, I'm not actually that bothered because I'm about to put a load of glue on here anyway. which should solve the problem. If that turns out to still be a problem, that bit and then this one. Comes down here like this. Cuts out. Now, if you've seen on the other ones, I can't actually put the coins right into the middle anyway, so that might do. I'm just got a little more there. You can tell I didn't really script this and set up. But anyway, that's that. So that one's going to go there. And as long as it clears these end holes, that's the key bit. Got to clear the end holes. Put 3 coins in this one. Let's clean the coins off a little bit. Remove some dust. Now they're going to go on there like that. But before they do, what I'm going to do, because I'm going to sit them down to stand, I'm going to put the new wheels in. Which are obviously these nice little metal ones. So that can go into there and fall straight out again. Actually, these wheels are probably easier to put in now because the new coupler pocket is a lot smaller than the one I've taken out. So actually, I can just slide them in that way. Didn't think of that. There we go. That one in there. So again, very, very free rolling now. And metal wheels I've found work a lot better than plastic ones. The plastic wheels, these ones aren't too bad. They do tend to pick up quite a bit of dirt, but that's that. So that is now going to get some boss stick on it. And the boss stick in some ways is better for this. It's not perfect, but it is better because it is slightly rubbery. And as such, it's a little bit better at dealing with vibration. Obviously, if you know anything about model railways, you know things vibrate, or rattle as it's also known. So yeah, I'll put that on there, that on there, that. I'll put a load more on the top. Including over the middle, because frankly, why not? It may as well drop down into that gap in the middle. Deal with the stringy bit. Clean that, put that on there. So, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to do some more of these. I'm going to let this glue dry. Then we're going to come back, we're going to fit the couplings, and we'll have a little look, and we'll see how that works. So, I'll catch you in a minute. Okay, right. I've now done 3 of these. So they've got the coupling boxes fitted on. That one had one already. I fitted another on this end. So what we do is we take the Kadee coupling and, well, I say Kadee coupling. You can do anything with this. It's now got an M pocket on it. That slides in there like so. That's that one. So I'll put the lid back on. Which just clips back on. So these are fairly simple wagons. Wagon with a Kadee coupling, extra weight, and some better wheels. So do this one as well, which is same thing, except obviously this one needs the couplings going in both ends because it didn't already have one. That goes in there. And one of the other benefits of this will give them slightly closer coupling. Not vastly. We'll have a look in a minute because I've done. See, that's that one. I've done the full works here on 3 of these. I've done a partial conversion on 1. And the reason I've done a partial conversion, that's this one. It's got a Kadee at one end and a conventional coupler at the other. I haven't done the whole rake. I have done the K3 Loco. That's got a Kadee now on its tender. So I'll be able to hook these 3 directly to it. I can then put the converter wagon to the back, which can then hook to the rest of the rake. And one of the reasons I've got to do it that way around is I haven't done all the rake and I haven't done the brake van. The brake van is a Bachmann vehicle and will need to be done differently. So that's that. That can go onto there as well. And as you see, these just clip back together. Now, I've got quite a few Hornby wagons with this style of underframe, so this should, I'm not saying it will, but it should work on all of them, which is going to be interesting. So I'm going to try that. So I'm going to put this onto here. Get in there. Here we go. And these aren't quite as smooth as a proper NEM tension lock coupling pocket would be, but there we go. So the next step is the most important step in anything to do with model railway, is testing them. So to the layout. Okay, back on the track. Got a barrier wagon down here, and I've got the three I've played with here. I'll move them a little bit closer together, but not coupled. This end I've got a K3, which I'm going to bring in. Power on, into reverse. Bring him back slowly. Here he comes, and he's got a, just slightly here, he's got a Kadee on the back. So it's going to come in and should couple up. Now it may just start pushing them at first, but we'll see. That's coupled. That's pushing, and coupled, coupled, coupled. Right. So, the test now, I'm going to pull them forward. Now, as we come forward, pay attention to the gap between them. You'll see these are slightly more closely coupled than the others. And we shall see how we go. So, off we go. Rolling out nicely. And from here backwards, fifth wagon backwards is the old style wheels. So let's bring her back. There's much less slop in these couplers as well. It's not completely sort of slop free, but there's a lot less. So that seems to work. The next test is obviously to go out for a trip around the layout and probably round one, just do a loop or two, and we shall see how we go. So I'm going to set up for that. I'll catch you in a mo. So here we go. Off we go. Would help if I put it in forward. Anyway, never mind. Here we go, and we're going to watch as she rumbles over the point work. And out we go. Now, come down here. Over the double slip. All the wagons is wobbling a little bit on the new wheels, which I suspect means the back-to-backs will need adjusting. But we shall see. So I shall carry on with this. Okay, so here we are back at the station. Now, the more observant of you will have noticed during that this disappeared. It's a Bachmann breakdown. The couplings on it are slightly different to the Hornby ones. It couples much tighter, so it basically keeps the plastic beams in contact pretty much all the time. It doesn't like some points. This one is another one I'm going to have to. Its fittings are different. I'm going to have to come up with a different way of putting a Kadee on that, but I'm going to have to do it. Now, running. You've just seen some little extracts. It wasn't entirely smooth, but the first 3 wagons, which are the ones I've upgraded, remember, these have got extra weight, these have got metal wheels, and these have now got Kadee couplings. Flawless. Not a problem at all. The problem is the rear ones came off several times. I suspect most of the issue is weight. They're just basically too light. They hit a slightly uneven bit of track. They wobble, they rattle. Just running the new upgraded ones, the train's actually quieter because it's not rattling quite so much. So I need to get the rest of these done. At the very least, the Kadee couplings and the weight, even if I can't do the wheels on all of them, I need to get the rest of that done. But I'm quite happy with that as a little experiment. So that, hopefully a shorter video than usual, hopefully a little bit more focused, hopefully a little bit more interesting. Cheap Hornby wagons, upgraded. I'm happy with that. I'll just get the rest of them done. Catch you in the next one. Likes, comments, shares, etc. are more than welcome. Anybody else upgraded your couplings or even just added some weights? What do you think? See you around. Enjoy your weekend. This has been Leopard Street.